Hello, my name's Ed Ashurst. I'm a fourth generation Arizona rancher, cattle rancher, and cowboy. And this is part of the Proverbs 25, verse 26 project. This dialogue you're about to hear is not an orchestration that was written or designed for the choir. It is an appeal to everyone who possesses some common sense. I do not believe, nor do I promote the concept that all Republicans are righteous deacons, nor do I believe that all Democrats are children of Satan. Today we're going to talk about wolves. Currently, this area, southeast Arizona, southwestern New Mexico, is in the worst drought in recorded history. And because of that, 100% of all wildlife is dependent on cattle ranchers for their survival. All the water, and I mean 100% of the water, that the deer, the antelope, the bears, the lions, the javelina, and the quail are drinking are produced by cattle ranchers like me. For hundreds of square miles, there is virtually no live groundwater. It does not exist. Last spring, the state of Arizona and the federal government turned loose several collared Mexican gray wolves 12 miles south of my house. These wolves currently are living in an area several hundred square miles in size that goes from Skeleton Canyon on the east, west toward the Pedregosa Mountains, and from Price Canyon on the south side of the Chiricahuas, south to Paramore Crater. I'm right in the middle of that. And they are killing lots of calves on numerous ranchers. This is documented. When they turn these wolves loose, the Arizona State Fish and Game sent an agent to talk to local cattle ranchers and cattle growers associations, and he told them, he threatened them, saying that anybody that harms one of these wolves is going to be put in prison or fined exorbitant amounts of money. He said we cannot do anything about it, and we needed to get happy because very soon there were going to be a lot more wolves. So we needed to get used to it. Let me give you an example of an experience I had with a federal agents and fish and game people. About 6 years ago, I was north of my house 5 or 6 miles, and off in the distance on deeded land, I saw a gentleman walking in full camo, carrying a high-powered rifle and a scope, and I knew he was a deer hunter. He was where he was not supposed to be, and he hadn't asked me permission. So I didn't say anything. 4 or 5 hours later, I drove up the highway to check a watering facility for cattle. And about 3 miles north of my house, I drove by a couple of parked pickups and a man and woman standing in the highway right-of-way. Off to the west, about 2 miles, I could see some dust. I went on and took care of my business. And I returned about a half hour later, and as I drove by, this dust was getting closer, and I stopped and talked to this man and woman along the road. They immediately attacked me, calling me names, telling me I had no business interfering in what they were doing. And as all this was going on, the dust got close enough, I saw a man on a motorcycle dragging a buck deer with a piece of rope. He drug it up to the highway where these people were waiting for him. All three of them drug the deer and the motorcycle under the highway right-of-way fence and loaded it in a car. A Border Patrol agent drove up while on duty and started talking to these people. It was evident that they were friends. I called the local game warden. He investigated this, and I asked him, what are you going to do? And he said, well, I'm not going to give them a citation because of professional courtesy. So much for dealing with a fish and game or a federal agent. These wolf depredations so far are taking place in the bottom of the valley on deeded land. They are not taking place on federal land. In the past, it has been documented in places where wolves have been established by the government for 15 or 20 years. As high as 70% of ranchers' calf crops have been destroyed by wolves. Cattle ranchers cannot survive this type of loss. Cattle ranchers, by and large, are honest. They provide work and money going into the local and national economy. They pay their taxes and they're not on welfare. Wolves are going to destroy that. You cannot survive a 70% loss of your calf crop. They are going to put us out of business. It is going to be a loss of billions of dollars to the national and local economy and tax base. Ranchers, cattle ranchers everywhere need to fight against this. Today it's wolves. Tomorrow it's going to be water rights. And the next day it's going to be any and all sort of private property. This is tyranny. It is blatant communism. And we can't survive it. So we need to fight back. This is a violation of our constitutional rights, the government's obligation to protect our private property and free enterprise instead of invade and fine us for doing business. The President of the United States can very easily, in less than 1 minute, put a stop to this with a stroke of his pen. He needs to, and this is an appeal to him, to defund the wolf program. It is going to ruin the local economy. It is going to ruin cattle ranchers. It is going to ruin free enterprise. And it's unconstitutional and it's tyrannical. And I hope the president listens and does something about it. Thank you very much.